Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rook and welcome to the table. I am here today to showcase one of the best, if not the best, Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel deck out there right now. I finally collected all these cards to build this deck physically, and I am excited to show you this here today. This is the legendary Dark Moth deck for Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel. This deck has shown its ugly face everywhere in online tournaments. If you're playing with your friends and they have this deck, you better watch out. Ever since I constructed this deck, this has been a winner non-stop. So you gotta build this deck. This is the deck in Speed Duel right now before the new box comes out in November. I'm here today to show you exactly how to build this deck so that you can rise to the top. Let's go ahead and start with our skill. This is the Weevil Underwood skill. This is the Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. Activate the following skill during your main phase. You contribute an insect monster from either field equipped with an equip card, and if you do, special summon an insect monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Additionally, you can shuffle one insect monster from your graveyard into the deck, then draw one card. Each of these skills can only be used once per duel. So you are using this skill in conjunction with the Parasite Paranoid, the nasty 2-star effect monster that came out in the Trials of the Kingdom booster in December that has made the Moth deck in general, whether you're playing Dark Moth, Warrior Moth, it has been an absolute staple in this deck. This is exactly what you need. This is really all you're going to use Cocoon for, because Parasite's effect allows you to equip it to a monster to turn him into an insect. There you go, you satisfy the equipment conditions to use that first skill, and then you're shuffling something like Parasite or maybe a Moth back into your deck to draw an extra card. Cocoon of Ultra Evolution is critical for this deck. Going to the monsters, we have 3 Parasite Paranoid at long last. Finally, I have them all. These things are expensive. I'd like to thank my Speed Duel Binder video for hooking me up with the right people to make the right trades to get these cards into my hand. Thank you so much, gentlemen. You have been an absolute pleasure to trade with. 3 Parasite Paranoid. It's a little complicated 2-star effect monster. As a quick effect, you can target a face-up monster on the field, equip this card from your hand to that target. The equipped monster becomes an insect monster. Cannot attack insect monsters. Also, its effects that activate by targeting an insect monster are negated. You can only use the effect of Parasite Paranoid once per turn. Equip card sent to the graveyard. You can special summon a level 7 or higher insect monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. Parasite Paranoid is being used to equip to really as soon as you see a monster your opponent controls. Depending on what monster it is, you're probably going to want a quick effect equip Parasite Paranoid to it, because then on your next main phase, you can activate Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. They have to tribute that monster, and Parasite Paranoid goes to the graveyard in order for you to get something like the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth from your deck for free. Additionally, because of Parasite's second effect, that last sentence at the bottom, if you have something like a Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth in your hand while this occurs, you can also get a Moth out from your hand for free, ignoring its summoning conditions. This card, coupled with the Cocoon of Ultra Evolution skill, has the potential for you to get out 2 Perfectly Ultimate Great Moths before you normal summon on your turn. That is what makes this deck so broken. And then the big boss monster that Parasite helps get out, we have 2 Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. Only 2. We don't want to run 3 or else it may be a little bit of a brick. The effect is it can't be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing a Petite Moth on your 6th turn or later after it was equipped with Cocoon of Evolution. Now, I don't know why I just read that, because everything in Parasite's effect and Cocoon's effect is that you can get a monster, an insect monster out, ignoring its summoning conditions. We are ignoring Moth's summoning conditions for every reason we're getting this out. We don't have anything like a Petite Moth in this deck. This is just the biggest, baddest insect right there that Parasite's going to help you get out onto the field, sometimes twice. Moving on, we have a 6-star monster, Gap the Divine Soldier. Gap is a Dark Fiend monster, and all monsters are changed to attack position when this comes out on the field. Also, their battle positions cannot be changed. Flip effects are not activated. So if you're able to tribute for Gap, you get all of the monsters your opponent has that may be face down fence position, flipped into attack mode. Their flip effects are negated. Some of the flip effects in Speed Duel are really annoying, so that's really great, and they can't change their paddle position. Typically, if an experienced Speed Duel player finds that their opponent is playing a variation of the Moth deck, they're going to try and play defensively and not necessarily show a monster face up if they don't have to, because they always should assume that you have something like Parasite Paranoid in your hand. This allows you to pretty much set up your field the way you want to, and then you will usually have a chance to tribute for Gap the Divine Soldier, which will all of a sudden spring all of their monsters into attack mode, and then there's the quick effect Parasite, and you just start rolling over them with the Moths. So Gap the Divine Soldier is a really great card to help get this win condition with the Moth. Pretty strong beater as well. It's 2200 attack, 2000 defense. It does have a secondary condition where you can reveal any number of Fiend monsters in your hand. Card gains 300 attack for each until the end of turn. That's kind of nice because we do have a couple Fiends here. We have 2 Gap. We're running some Sphere Krebo, so we could use that. Don't see it terribly often, but it's a great option. Right here is where, if I had it physically, I would probably substitute one gap for a Yugioh. Yugioh recently came out as part of a European promotion on August 1st, so that is legal in Speed Duel. In my dueling book version of this deck, I do have one gap, one Yugioh, but of course physically I am not getting a Yugioh anytime soon, so I am running this 2 gap. Moving on, we have 3 Dakoichi, the Battle Chanted Locomotive. Great 4-star machine flip effect monster. This is basically getting you more card draw. This deck loves to draw cards. Dakoichi is you flip, draw a card, and then you draw an additional card for each face-up. Bokoichi, the Frightening card, but we don't have any of those. It's really just flip, draw a card in the sense of this deck. So like I said, your opponent might be playing defensively. That allows you to set your Dakoichi. You can get the flip effect off. There's your Tribute for Gap. A lot of different ways Dakoichi can work. I run 3 Dakoichi because I love drawing cards. If you're playing against somebody that's very aggressive, maybe not too afraid of your Moth, maybe you want to side in something like a Midoriya as opposed to Dakoichi. I've seen the deck run with Dakoichi, Midoriya, a mixture of both, but usually it's one or the other. I have some in my side deck I can share with you guys too. But for now, my main deck, I'm running 3 Dakoichi, the Battle Chanted Locomotive. And last monster I'm running is 3 Sphere Kuriboh, 1-star fiend monster. You guys should know what this one is. This is the hand trap that saves you from an incoming attack. You drop this to the graveyard, it spins your opponent's monster into defense mode, and the attack is negated if they were to try and attack any monster that you control or even yourself. So Sphere Kuriboh, some great defense, love to have it in the deck. Moving on to spells, we have 3 Allure of Darkness. Great card that came out recently in the new structure decks that came out in May of this year. This is you draw 2 cards, then banish a dark monster from your hand, or if you don't have any in your hand, send your entire hand to the graveyard. Did I mention I love drawing cards with this deck? Let's think about all the card draw we have now. We have the card draw off Cocoon of Ultra Evolution, we have the card draw off of Dakoichi, and now we have 3 Allure of Darkness to potentially draw 2 cards and banish a dark card. You might ask why I run so many Allure of Darkness. Well, if you think back to the monsters we went through, we saw a lot of potential dark targets for Allure of Darkness. We saw Gap the Divine Soldier, we see Dakoichi the Battle Chanted Locomotive, we see Sphere Kuriboh. These are all really good dark targets. An example would be in my opening hand, maybe I have an Allure of Darkness and a Sphere Kuriboh. I'm not in any immediate danger right now, so Sphere Kuriboh is an easy dark target to banish. So Sphere Kuriboh is a good card that works as the hand trap when you need it, also a good dark target to banish if you don't want to get rid of your Dakoichi, your Gap, your Yugioh, your Midoriya, etc., whatever you're running in this deck. So this is a great way to get more cards into your hand to get that Parasite. As soon as you get that Parasite, that's when you start rolling, so you'll want to get that in your hand. Allure of Darkness will help you get there. And last spell I run is 1 Twister. Little magic removal here. Just 1 Twister because I'm running some Dust Tornado as well. Twister is you pay 500 life points, then target a face-up spell trap card on the field, destroy that target. It is a quick play spell, which sets it apart from something like Dust Tornado that's a trap that you have to set and then activate. So you can activate this from your hand in your battle phase if you wanted to. For example, your opponent hits you with a Nightmare Wheel on one of your monsters that's trying to attack. You can quick play this Twister. You are paying 500 life points, but I find that the quick play spell effect can catch people off guard. So I run 1 Twister because if we move on to traps, I have 2 Dust Tornado. For magic removal, primarily relying on Dust Tornado here, but I do have the Twister. Dust Tornado, probably the best magic removal back row right now. You target a spell trap your opponent controls, destroy that target, then you can set 1 spell trap from your hand. So there's a little bit of utility there with Dust Tornado, but it's a pretty good magic removal. I run 2 of those to make 3 total magic removal cards. 2 more traps that I run. Can you guys guess what they are? I'm running 3 Nightmare Wheel. Nightmare Wheel is a staple in many decks right now. I just mentioned it when I was talking about Twister, but Nightmare Wheel is a trap where you activate by targeting a monster your opponent controls. It can't attack or change its battle position. Essentially, you put this on a monster that's trying to attack. They can't change their battle position, and on your standby phase, your opponent burns for 500 life points each standby phase of yours. So this is a great way to kind of lock your opponent down, make their monsters unusable, and burn them slowly for the damage, especially if that's all you need. 500 life points is a lot for Speed Duel. Sometimes that's all you need to win. Nightmare Wheel's got you covered. Solid form of defense and burn. And then the last trap I run is the mighty, maybe the best card to come out of the structure decks in May. The mighty Zoma the Spirit. Another staple in pretty much any deck you're going to see competitively here in the Speed Duel format today. Zoma the Spirit is so versatile, it can work in a multitude of places, whether you're trying to attack aggressively with it, whether you're trying to set up to burn your opponent. After activation, you special summon the card in defense position. It's treated like an effect monster card. It's a zombie type, 1800 attack, 500 defense. So it comes in defense mode. So if you use this defensively in your opponent's battle phase, it's got to come in defense mode. So usually pretty much anything can beat over it. But if this card is destroyed by battle, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of the monster that destroyed it. So depending on how big the monster is that your opponent's attacking you with, and you flip a Zoma, they're taking that much attack damage as life point damage. That can be absolutely destructive and help win you the game. There is no reason not to run Zoma the Spirit. It doesn't work against your deck in any way. In fact, Zoma the Spirit is actually one of the biggest moth killers, because you think about a Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth that's 3500 attack, swinging into a Zoma, you're taking 3500 attack, all of a sudden you're a Nightmare Wheel away from death. So Zoma the Spirit works with every deck, and so of course I'm running 3 copies here, as I find that if I'm playing the Moth Mirror, maybe Zoma the Spirit is my savior if I don't have Parasite in my hand. 3 Zoma the Spirit, that is rounding out a 25 card Speed Duel deck, so the minimum is 20 cards. You can try and thin this if you'd like, but I find that 25 cards is working just fine. And I just wanted to throw out a couple side deck options for you guys if you're thinking about running this deck competitively, not sure what to side. I do have Nudorias in the side deck, quick replacement for Dekoichi. If I find that my opponent is getting very aggressive, they have scary monsters. Nudori is a great little effect monster, similar to like a Yomi ship. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, target one monster on the field and destroy that target. So this is like a better Yomi ship, because Yomi ship destroys the card that beats over it, but Nudoria, you can choose which monster to destroy. So Nudoria is a really great set there. Another side I run is the DD Crow. DD Crow I'm running primarily against something like Gravekeeper Burn. It's another hand trap where you drop it into the graveyard as a quick effect, then target a card in your opponent's graveyard, banish that target. Really great if your opponent's playing Gravekeeper Burn, they maybe have a Gravekeeper in the graveyard and they try and Rite of Spirit it. Then you can just drop it, remove it, Rite of Spirit fizzles out, nothing happens there. So DD Crow is a good side for that. Another good side deck card that I don't have with me physically here is the Golden Ladybug. That's the one where on your standby phase you gain 500 life points to kind of counteract any burn that's happening to you from Gravekeepers. So that's also a great side. And then a couple spells in my side deck too. I'm siding currently 2 Offerings to the Doom. Offerings to the Doom is a great, you know what, I don't want to deal with this monster anymore, goodbye kind of spell. It's also a quick play spell. You target one face-up monster on the field, destroy that target, also skip your next draw phase. So whatever you're going to Offerings, you better be sure that it's like life or death. You want to get rid of it, because you are skipping your next draw phase. You got to think about having the resources to sustain yourself for another turn if you use something like Offerings. It's a great card in a pinch, especially against Moth. And then the last side, I do have another Twister in case I find that my opponent is using more face-up continuous traps like Nightmare Wheel and Zoma, and maybe Dust Tornado is working a little too slowly for me. I have another Twister in there. Alright guys, and that is what I believe to be one of the best, if not the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel right now, the Dark Moth deck. If you guys are looking to play Speed Duel competitively, this is a great deck to familiarize yourself with, as you're either playing it yourself or you're playing against it. It's everywhere. This deck is huge and is not going anywhere until we get new product later this year. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. I hope you build it yourself. I hope you have fun with it. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit the like button and of course, subscribe for more. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.